Hi guys, how you all doing? It's me, your girl, Shauna, and I wanted to just share with you guys a conversation I had with one of my friends where I was talking about things that I remember from my past that made me look at situations as an adult a lot differently. And what we started to talk about was people who have made it, right? Or so they call themselves making it, who have maybe been blessed with an education, a job, a marriage, a house, a home, a good neighborhood, whatever the case is. And what I said to one of my friends I was speaking to was I stopped saying a long time ago that I don't know why people don't just make a better life from themselves. And I used to say that, I did it. If I can do it coming from nothing, from poverty, they can do it too. I don't believe that kind of stuff anymore because I had to myself be educated and I had to myself look at all the transgressions that's happening in this world. And I had to myself look at things on a micro and a macro level. And what I realized is this one thing for certain. Just because I grew up poor and maybe somebody else grew up poor doesn't mean that we've been afforded the same opportunities. I thought back to a situation that happened when I was younger where there was these two girls that used to be friends with me growing up, and their mom, who was on drugs, had left for a couple of days. And I remember one of the little girls brought her little sister over to my mother's house on my mother's side of the building. And she let my mother know that she only had canned goods and water in the house and they were hungry. And these little girls stayed with us for about 3 to 4 days till my mother said, I don't know where their mother is, but they can't live here. Because I grew up with not having anything. I grew up in a 1-bedroom apartment where there was my mother, my great aunt, my cousin, my brother, and I. 5 people. And my mother said, I cannot afford to break on 2 more people with my limited income and be able to feed them because I don't have it. And she had to call BCW, which is Child Protection Services. And I remember my heart breaking as I watched my 2 friends, well, my friend and her little sister, get in the back of the city car with the words Bureau of Child Welfare Services going across the window. And I remember crying as I watched them wave and pull off. And even the story today is still very emotional to me because it really hurts. And as I grew up, I wondered, why they didn't make it. But I realized they didn't make it because they didn't have the same situations I had. And although we both were poor, no doubt, without a doubt, we both were poor, we didn't have the same opportunities. I had a mother. They didn't have a mother. Their mother was on drugs. Their mother quite often left them home alone with nothing to eat. Whereas I had my mother, although poor, she made sure we ate every night. I didn't have that same lifestyle. And although we all went to schools in New York City, I didn't have the same lifestyle as somebody who may have went to school in a neighborhood where the schools are suffering, such as Newark, New Jersey. The school that I went to in New York City was predominantly white, so they had to make sure the kids in that school succeeded. So that afforded me a different opportunity than it does maybe somebody from a poor neighborhood where the schools are suffering. I didn't have to worry about dead bodies on my block as I came up my house to go to school. I didn't have to worry about ducking and dodging every day from bullets. That wasn't a life that I lived, although no doubt I was poor and in a poor neighborhood. I didn't have to worry about those things. I didn't have to worry about my mother and my father being on drugs. I didn't have to worry about domestic violence in my house, or with my mother being beaten every day, with the children growing up in trauma and chaotic situations where they're in school, can't even function because they're worrying about their mother's safety or their own safety when they get home. I didn't have to worry about those things. I didn't have to worry about my father being incarcerated and we having to go to a prison to visit our father because he's locked behind bars. I didn't have to worry about those things. So I want you guys to really stop thinking of people on a micro level saying that if you can do it, they can do it too. You have to really consider, just because we're all poor don't mean we grew up the same. Just because we're all black don't mean we had the same struggles. So stop looking at people like that. And let me tell you something. If you're one of the ones who have been blessed with an education, who has been blessed with a good community, who has been blessed with great school districts, it is your responsibility to then reach back and help those who are suffering. I really do hope you guys take this message to heart And stop looking at your fellow brother and sister and tearing them down and saying that you don't feel sorry for them because you had the same life that they had and they should have made it. That is not the truth. And we have to stop thinking that way. It is my responsibility to reach back and pull somebody else up. It is your responsibility to reach back and pull somebody else up. We cannot make it collectively as a people if we keep tearing each other down. This has to stop. This message needs to reach somebody. We need to start changing our thinkings, and we need to start taking an active role in helping our brothers and sisters out. I hope this message blesses somebody today. You guys have a wonderful night. Good night.